All right, so as you can see here, I have 1,209 miles on the machine right now. So this will be kind of a walk around and 1,200 mile review. So here it is. Really nice machine. I really enjoy it. This is my third side-by-side. In the past, previous to this, I had a Can-Am Maverick X3, and that was a really nice machine, really fast. If you're into going balls to the walls all day, that's the machine for you. However, a lot of my riding is exploratory in nature, trail riding, obstacles, stuff like that. So this machine really does fit me better. When I was trading in the X3, my plan was, in all honesty, to get the two-seater XRC model Sport, but as they had this on the showroom floor, both of my kids really enjoy going out, and rather than them fighting on who's going to go with me, I said I'll just get this way I could take everybody with me and make everybody happy. So such is the life of being a dad and an off-roader, I guess, but it's nice. Kids enjoy it, raising the next generation of off-roaders. My daughter also has a quad, which I'll do a walk-around video of, Polaris Outlaw 110, and show some clips of that. But back onto this, as you can see, I got wheels, tires, the OEM Sport roof, Can-Am Sport roof, which was a bitch to put on, by the way. I'll show you some of that in a little bit. Also have a half windshield, or it's called a half windshield, really more like a third. That is the Tusk off-road windshield. It's a nice piece. It fits good, doesn't rattle, doesn't move. Fits pretty much like the OEM one. There's the little slot down there that it sticks into, and then clamps on the edges. However, the OEM one, in my opinion, looks better, but it doesn't do shit for you as far as protection. It sits a little bit lower than this one does, and also it creates like a turbulent air right at your ear level, which when you're cruising around the trail is not a big deal, but I take some roads, pavement, some high-speed fire roads to get to the trails that I ride, and when you're whipping along at 45, 50, it's really quite obnoxious, the pounding of the wind in your ears. So this one seems to alleviate a little bit of that. Plus, when it gets dusty, which it does here a lot in Arizona, the dusty conditions, you can see through the windshield a lot better. The OEM Can-Am quarter half windshield, whatever you want to call it, has like this contour to it, so it makes it a little difficult to see through. This one's much easier to see through when it's dusty. It's flat and straight, so pretty good. I have the Seismic Mirrors. These are the cheapy plastic ones. They're not the good high quality ones. They're still lifetime guarantee from Seismic, but they don't really stay put. They kind of sit in this little ball and socket plastic, and then when you get going pretty good, sometimes the wind will push these, whereas the good metal ones have little settings where it kind of clicks and locks into place. So those are nice. The wheels and tires, the 32-inch Tusk Terabytes on a 14-inch wheel, 4.3 offset. So a lot of you guys are always asking on some of the Facebook pages and whatnot. I see a lot of posts, you know, what's the good offset to run? As you can see, with these 32s, I have zero issues with clearance. There's no rubbing whatsoever. You can see how much room there still is there with the wheel turned to the right. Even at full articulation, I do a lot of trails with, you know, hill climbs with some heavy-duty rock crawling sections. And I've had the sway bar off. I have it on now, but I've had the sway bar off where it really gets articulated and fully tuck the tire up in there. I've never rubbed, not once. As you can see, there's no rub marks on the plastic anywhere from these tires hitting it. And in the back, there's clearance for days. I mean, you can fit a much bigger tire in the back, I would imagine. I wouldn't go necessarily bigger than a 32 myself, but I know some of the mud guys do that. So there's plenty of clearance. The tires are great. They handle awesome, especially like I was saying before. I do hit a lot of pavement here and there to get to the trails. So these tires ride really nice on the road and on the hard pack stuff. and really handle all the conditions. I have about 600 miles on these tires, and you can really hardly tell. They wear really, really well, and for the price and the quality of them, I highly recommend them. The wheels are Tusk also. They're not beadlocks. I don't really have the need for that. You can air these things down, and you don't, you know, I don't really feel the need for beadlocks. I've never been in a situation where I've popped a bead. And if you're in the dunes and you're really aired down really, really low, and you're, you know, side duning and hitting the berms and stuff like that, I'm sure you could pop a bead. But for trail traversing and obstacles, I have zero issues with not having beadlocks. I've never ran beadlocks on any of my machines. Like I said, I had the X3 before this, and then I had a Polaris Razor S model 1000 two-seater a few years back. That was a nice machine, but like a lot of the Polarises, it rattles to shit, and I got sick of that pretty quick. So although I do have a couple creaks and rattles on this thing, it's a much more solid built machine than some of the Polarises. I haven't ridden in any of the new Polaris machines, but the older ones, like the XP1000 body style, hasn't really changed in many years, and that thing just is a rattle trap, if you ask me. They're nice machines, and but that's a story for another video. The Sport roof, it's a nice roof. A lot of people complain about it warping in the heat and the sun. I can tell you, like I said, I'm here in Arizona. It gets to 110 degrees in the summer days, and in the heat, I would imagine if it's out sitting in the sun cooking all day, you might get some warpage. I don't have any warpage at all. It sits good and flat, just as the day I put it on. I do keep mine in the garage though, so it's not out in the weather when I'm not using the machine. So it's out when I'm riding. I come home and I pull it in the garage. For the price and what it is, metal roofs tend to make a lot of noise, rattle a little bit. Something hits it, you hear that pinging sound. Those things drive me crazy. So the plastic roofs I've always favored. It is a little bit of a pain in the neck to install. There's a lot of rivets on the Max model because it comes in two halves, so you have to rivet. I don't know if you guys can see any of this here with the lighting, but there's some rivets where the seams are for the two halves. Okay, you have to rivet that stuff together, so you got to get the two halves lined up. You got to install this mount bracket here, that also gets riveted in, and then there's two nutserts to install, similar to the two-seat model roof here in the front, on the front of the roll cage. So other than that, it probably took me about maybe an hour to get it all put in. As long as you have a pop rivet gun. The nutsert gun, you don't really need that. You can just use a bolt and a nut and get it in there. There's plenty of YouTube videos on how to insert nutserts without the tool. So let's see, what else do we got to talk about? The Bandit UTV dual rate spring kit I have installed on here. That's one I get asked a lot about. I was actually the person from Bandit who tested these springs out for them before they hit the market. Just got lucky, actually, by coincidence. I happened to just email them to see if they had anything coming out on the market, and they mentioned that they were creating a spring kit for these machines, but they had nobody to test them. They shipped me the spring kit. I installed them, drove them around for a while, gave them some feedback, some measurements of where my preload is set at, and from what I see now, they are selling them on their website, so you can get them. They are not expensive at all. I think it's under $400 for the set. That's dual rate springs for the front and the rear, also for the two-seater models. So these things are really good. I know on the Maxes you get dual rates in the back already, but I can tell you that my stock springs, I had to adjust them twice, maybe even 3 times, as they, broke in and sagged and the height settled on them. I set these springs when I bought the machine to the ground clearance I wanted, and I had to settle. They settled a few times and I had to adjust them. When I installed the Bandit springs here, I set them once, and I have never adjusted the preload on them since I installed them. I have not lost any ground clearance or ride height. There was maybe 1/8 of an inch of settling, but I wasn't going to adjust the springs for that. That was after the first ride, and that was pretty much it. I'm just about 15 inches of ground clearance with those springs, probably giving me, with the amount of preload I have, maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And then I have the 32s, which gives me added about 2 inches of ground clearance. So I'm at about 15 inches all around of ground clearance, front to rear. I keep it pretty level. So I know some guys run a little lower in the back. I'm at about 15 in the front and just about 15 in the rear to that hitch plate there in the back. So they handle great. I would say the overall, besides the sagging of the stock springs, the overall impression I get with these in ride quality is, now with the dual rates in the front, as you can see, I keep them all set at medium. I keep the shocks on the number 2. On the QS3s here, you know, you have the 1, 2, and 3. I keep them at a number 2 all around. That tends to work best for me for most riding conditions. If I know I'm just going to be slow crawling all day, you know, 5-10 mile an hour crawling over obstacles and stuff like that, I'll knock them down to 1. But if it's going to be a day where it's just a mixed bag of riding, I'll just keep it on 2, and it just this way when you're going fast and you hit some big G outs and stuff, it doesn't bottom out. So with these dual rate springs now in the front with the Bandits, it takes out a lot of that little washboard stuff on the fire roads. We get a lot of that out here in southern Arizona. You get that little choppiness, and rattles your fillings out of your teeth sometimes if you're not set up right. But with the way I have it set now, I get the air pressure in the tires at about 12 pounds on these, and the shocks on number 2, and with the dual rates in the front here, it really eliminated 70 to 80% of that, where I don't even mind going over that stuff anymore. There's 0 issues. So I would say I would recommend them for the price, under $400 for an entire set. It's high quality. They make them in the USA, and that's big to a lot of people. I recommend it. They definitely help the ride, and if nothing else, you're getting rid of the soft factory springs, which do tend to settle quite a bit, and you have to adjust them every once in a while to maintain your ride height. With these, like I said, they've been on there for probably about 600 miles or so now, and I've set them once and I haven't touched them since. So if you guys have any more questions about those, you can leave them in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions about any of that stuff. I don't want to run on forever here, but overall impression of the machine is great. I haven't had a single lick of problems with it. I have, like I showed you here, 1,209 miles on it. The machine runs flawlessly, starts up every time. I do plan on changing the battery to a 30 amp hour battery. I haven't had any issues with the stock battery, knock on wood, but that's always a big concern of mine. I worry about, you know, you go out on the trail, stop for a break and go to start your machine, it doesn't start again. That's the last thing you want to happen. So I do intend on upgrading the battery. I just changed all the fluids on it at about 950 miles. Maybe it was less, 860 miles I think it was. I changed all the fluids, so I didn't quite wait to the 1,000 mile mark like a lot of people do. I have the AMSOIL in it, in the engine, the side-by-side AMSOIL. You can get it at the Ride Now dealerships here in town, and or order it online. I have Royal Purple in the front diff and in the transmission. Haven't had any issues. Only issues I've had with the machine, it's not really even an issue. It's actually it's a known problem with these Maxes. The front drive shaft coming from the transfer case has a slip joint in it, and it can tend to rattle. It's under the center console. I'm not 100% certain how to get to it on these machines. From what I understand, you have to take the lower skid plate off. So what I'll probably do is do a video when I correct that issue. Basically, the slip joint rattles. There's some play in it. So I actually had the same exact issue on my Maverick X3 that I had, and the resolution to that is Can-Am has a bulletin out that if you bring it to the dealer with that rattle, you'll hear it sounds like a tinny rattling sound, like somebody's got like a change in a can, and it's just rattling under you, closer towards the back seat. But it's coming from the drive shaft slip joints. They just drill a hole and put a set screw there just to take the the play out of it, so it's not rattling around, and that eliminates all the noise. So I do plan on doing it myself. I'm not driving it up to the dealer for that. Anything that I can do on myself on my machines, I do that for a couple of reasons. One, you get to know your machine. If you have a breakdown, you know how to fix it, you know what's wrong, you know every part of it. I do all my own maintenance. I'll bring it to the dealer for warranty work, of course, while it's under warranty. Other than that, I do everything myself if I can. Oh, there's another thing here. As you guys can probably see, I have the Dyno Jet sticker on it. That is because I have the Dyno Jet tuner on the machine. A lot of people have given mixed reviews on it. I personally feel it made a night and day difference on the machine. I do not have a clutch kit on this. With the 32s, it handles phenomenal. When I first put the 32s on, I did not have the Dyno Jet tuner, and I do gotta say, mid-range, the power did lack a little bit. There were some times where I really felt like it needed something extra. It took a lot of the oomph away from this machine, putting the 32s on it. That being said, when I did the Dyno Jet tuner, I was not 100% certain, after reading some reviews from others, if it would make a big difference or not. So I was a little skeptical, but I gotta say, I was blown away. I got it for Christmas present. I installed the tune Christmas Day. Took it for a rip around the block, came out back here quick. This is like right around from where I live, so it's like a 2-minute drive. I took it back here and ripped around a little bit, and instantly I noticed the power was back to where it was factory. So with that being said, running 32s and having as much power as you did stock, in the mid-range, I would say it's probably even a little bit better. It really gets up and goes quicker now. There's much less hesitation when you give it the gas. It doesn't you don't have that throttle lag with the tuner on there. So I am thinking about still doing a clutch kit, a Dalton clutch kit on it. Right now I'm pretty happy with the machine, so I don't feel like the dire need to do it. I did feel like it was something I needed to do right away after I installed the 32s, but now with the tuner on there, it really brought all the power back. With the clutch kit, I'm assuming I'm gonna have more power than I had stock, and with running 32s, that's a lot to be said for what the tuner did to it. Great machine overall. I don't really know what else to say here, other than I don't have any dislikes about it. I gotta be honest with you. I had the front sway bar off for a short time. A lot of guys do that, and I raved about it. I don't know if any of you guys have seen some of my posts. I'm on the Facebook pages for these, but I loved it without the sway bar. It handled great as far as like hill climbs and slow crawling. The articulation is night and day better. You do get a little more body roll when you're going fast, of course. That's natural, to be expected. But once you get the gist of how to drive it, and you have it out for an hour or two, you know how it's going to react. You know how to drive it without it. It's not an issue. The issue I had, and the reason why I put the sway bar back on, is because I was getting a lot of popping sounds from the front end with the sway bar removed. So I'm like, let me do a little experiment. I'll put the sway bar back on and see if that popping noise goes away. Well, it did. So the popping noise is gone. As it turns out, what was happening was the shocks were just overextending. So when you go to full droop on the shock is extended at the maximum capacity it can. Without the sway bar on there, one tire to the other, you're going to get a lot more articulation with the sway bar off. So the shocks were just topping out constantly, and that noise drove me crazy. I don't like noises, so I couldn't live with that, to be honest with you. Sounds ridiculous, but my concern also too was your shocks are not meant to stop the droop of the vehicle. You're not supposed to be topping out your shocks like that. It's not good for the shock itself. It's just going to wear out a lot faster. So I don't really feel like rebuilding my shocks every few hundred miles. I'm sure there's plenty of guys that took the sway bar off day one and they got 2,000-3,000 miles in the machine and have no issues. But I do use the machine a lot. I want it to not break on me when I need it most. So with the offset of these wheels and the bigger tires, that took all the instability away for me, which was the reason why I took the sway bar off in the first place. Was with the 60-inch width and that thick front sway bar on there. Sometimes it felt a little unstable, as far as, you get one tire up on a rock, or you're going over an obstacle, going up a hill with a rut on it, or washed out hill, and it felt like sometimes if you were going too slow, it would want to tip over to its side. And that's largely due to the width of the machine. It's a 60-inch machine, plus it's long. These Maxes are about as long as an XP1000 four-seater. It's 3 inches difference. So I know everybody says the Can-Ams are tremendous in four-seat model, and that is true with the X3s, which is the reason why I didn't get a four-seater X3. They're just gigantic, and for exploratory trail riding, this is the perfect machine, if you ask me. I have zero issues. I fit everywhere. I'm at about 63 inches wide now, so that's 3 inches. To me, it made a huge difference. It's either the extra 3 inches in width or the way the tires handle, but the instability, hill climbs and stuff like that, is all but gone now. So with that front sway bar back on there to eliminate that front popping sound, my concern was, well, I'm going to lose that feeling of the front suspension articulating and that stability. But with this extra width and the tires, I haven't had that issue. So I'm happy with the machine now with the front sway bar back on. I may take it off if I ever go like Moab or something like that, where that's all you're going to be doing is slow, crawling, and you need that every drop of articulation. I may do it then and take it off. I do plan on making a trip there at some point. I got a lot of trips in mind that I would like to do, Sand Hollow, stuff like that, and we'll get some footage up of all those when they come about. But other than that, that's all the accessories I have on the machine. I don't want to keep rambling on here. I know I said that already. Last thing I haven't talked about is this Tusk storage bag. It was cheap. It was a form of storage. I keep a toolkit in there, a compressor, extra belt. It's got 2 coolers on it. On either side, you can detach them. They're just Velcroed on. And then the main bag is attached with these little rings. But it's great. I could fit plenty of stuff in there. A jacket, a poncho, toolkit, extra belt, the coolers. I could pack drinks in one, food in the other, and I go out on the trail all day and I'm good to go. What I plan on doing here this year is I'm going to get the OEM Can-Am Accessory trunk lid, the trunk box. I haven't gotten it yet because it's super expensive, $450 or something like that, which is outrageous to me. I think it's crazy, but it is a nice piece. So I'll probably bite the bullet here soon and buy that. Get rid of the bag. It looks better too, in my opinion, than having the bag back there. Bag serves its purpose, but I also like looks as well as functionality. It's a total package for me when I buy an accessory. If it works well but it looks like shit, I'm not going to buy it. I need a little bit of both in my life. So that's that. Thank you guys for watching the video. I know I've said I was going to do this like 3 weeks ago, and I've been just super busy, so I finally got around to it. So like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys that are following. If you have any questions or anything you want me to talk about more specific about the machine that I didn't cover here, I'd be more than happy to do another video for you, or just answer to one of your reply to one of your comments. So comment down below, like the video, share it with your friends. This is just kind of hobby of mine that I just picked up with this YouTube stuff, so I'm enjoying it as long as you guys are watching the videos and liking it, and I can help, you know, just one person out there. There's not a lot of content on YouTube for these machines, so that was another reason for me to create this, provide a lot of content for the Maverick Sport Max. I know when I bought it and I looked on YouTube for some reviews of these machines, there was nothing, and there's hardly anything still to this day. So that's why I thought it would be a great idea to cover it. It's not an X3, it's not a Razor. It's, you know, even the 2-seat sports get some videos out there on YouTube, reviews, but there's nothing really on these Maxes. That's a great machine. If you're thinking about buying one, I wouldn't hesitate one bit to buy this machine again. I definitely don't regret it. I plan on keeping this thing until it dies on me, pay it off, keep it in the garage, and then also add to the stable a 2-seater, probably an RC model. That's my plan right now, but you know, things change. So like, share, and subscribe, guys. Thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you out on the trail. Have a good one.